You know, in World War II, the Nazis actually were working on an aircraft carrier. I think they might have had plans for several, but they had one that was actually in its stages of completion. And it raises the question, it's an excellent question, of would that aircraft carrier have changed anything about Germany's naval situation? Which, their navy was never a dominant force. It really wasn't. And the answer, quite simply, is no. And the reason for that is largely the German leadership. Don't get me wrong, aircraft carriers were proven the most deadly weapon on the seas, with the exception of maybe submarines. But as far as the dominant force in your navy, by the end of World War II, the aircraft carrier absolutely was it. That's really when it came into the prominent position that it now holds today. But the problem was, the Nazi leadership didn't have a freaking clue how to use a navy. All right, they never really did have a strong naval tradition. And their navy, especially World War I, it actually wasn't bad. World War II, it still hadn't been rebuilt. They did try, and they had a couple excellent vessels. But Hitler and his yes boys they were all about the dominance. They were all about, and by the end of the war, they were about the super weapons. Because, the leadership had more or less been gutted, and Hitler was a drug-addled maniac, to put it simply. But that entire time, if they had several functioning aircraft carriers, it wouldn't change anything. Because they had no clue how to use them. And they probably would have used them like they tried using their battleships and their pocket cruisers, of trying to get out there and sink raiding and operating much like lone wolves. And you can't use an aircraft carrier like that. Whatever aircraft carrier they had, no matter how good it was, if it was on par with the best one, if it was better than the best one anyone else had, it still wouldn't have changed how they used their vessels, and they would have had it eventually destroyed via submarines or other aircraft carriers, launching their naval bombers. It wouldn't have changed, or dive bombers. It wouldn't have changed anything. And that, again, that is not because of the vessel. It is because they had no clue how to use that weapon. But I hope that was informative, at least for a history enthusiast's take. I'm like a historian, only I'm not paid and I don't know as much.